The clock strikes 12 and the ceiling starts to fade. Heavy velvet curtains draw a slow blue shade. I'm sinking in the mattress while the embers glow, watching ghosts of smoke perform a funeral for the day we know. The city outside is a ghost ship adrift in the dark, but in this room I sparked a holy little spark. My lungs are filling up with a thick gray honey, counting visions that you couldn't buy with paper money. The floorboards are humming, a low frequency hum, like the heartbeat of a giant or a distant muffled drum. I ain't looking for the exit, I'm just looking for the scene where the waking world dissolves into a rolling lucid dream. Let the midnight exhale blow the dust off the bones. We are kings of the silence, sitting on cardboard thrones. There's a blues in the basement and a riot in the vein, but the clouds are so heavy they can't even hold the rain. Just let the drift take the weight of the crowd, while the heavy sky comes spinning on down. The shadows on the wall are dancing out of time, searching for a reason or a reason not to rhyme. The air tastes like juniper and burnt cinnamon lace. I'm staring at the stars through a cracked window space. Gravity is losing its grip on my weary tired feet as the midnight melody flows down the empty street. I remember the laughter and the jagged sharp edges, the way we used to balance on those narrow icy ledges. But the herbs in the glass have a way of making peace, granting every frantic thought a permanent release. So I tilt my head back and I invite the cold numbing, knowing that the sunrise is a long time coming. Let the midnight exhale blow the dust off the bones. We are keys of the silence, sitting on cardboard thrones. There's a blues in the basement and a riot in the pain, but the clouds are so heavy they can't even hold the rain. Just let the dew flake the weight of the crowd, while the heavy sky comes streaming on down. Let the midnight exhale blow the dust off the bones. We are kings of the silence, sitting on cardboard thrones. There's a blues in the basement and a riot in the vein, but the clouds are so heavy they can't even hold the rain. Just let the dew flake the weight of the crowd, while the heavy sky comes raining on down. Face froze on a jagged line, tracing shadows through the velvet pine. Gravity losing its heavy grip on the floor as I sink into the cushions and shut the door. Yeah, blue notes crawling up the plaster wall, waiting for the heavy evening rain to fall. I found a frequency in the static hum, beating steady like a distant muffled drum. Exhaling silver in a steady stream, fading out the logic of a waking dream. The thick sweetness settles on the tongue, ancient secrets from a pair of tired lungs. The ceiling ripples like a shallow lake, burying the noise for the spirit's sake. Yeah, 420 ticking on a glowing screen, floating through the spaces in between. That midnight breath is a heavy ghost, searching for the things that matter most. Wrap the blues around a jagged spark, drifting through the ocean of the dark. Higher than the steeples in the town, watching all the heavy burdens settle down. Your saxophone leading through the open grave. Life can sit back and learn how to walk. The world outside is just a blurred mistake, a brittle concrete vessel about to break. Carving diamonds out of local smoke, laughing at a cosmic private joke. The baseline acts as a steady spine, turning bitter water into vintage wine. Yeah, everything is liquid in this quiet room, flowers of the soul beginning to bloom. A thick sweetness settles on the tongue, ancient secrets from a pair of tired lungs. The ceiling ripples like a shallow lake, burying the noise noise for the spirit's sake, yeah. 420 ticking on a lowering screen, floating through the spaces in between. That midnight breath is a heavy ghost, searching for the things that matter most. Wrap the blues around a jacket spar, drifting through the ocean of the dark, higher than the steeples in the town, watching all the heavy burdens settle down, yeah. 420 ticking on a glowing screen, floating through the spaces in between. That midnight breath is a heavy ghost, searching for the things that matter most. Wrap the blues around the jagged spar, drifting through the ocean of the dawn, higher than the steeple in the count, watching all the heavy burdens settle down, yeah. 420 ticking on a glowing screen, floating through the spaces in between. That midnight breath is a heavy ghost, searching for the things that matter most. Rock the blues and all the jagged spar, drifting through the ocean of the dawn, higher than the steeples in the town, watching all the heavy burdens settle down, yeah. 'Face froze at 12 while the smoke rings climb. Yeah, yeah. Another heavy cloud suspended in the valley of time. Yeah, yeah. My lungs hold a secret that the city never told, turning silver embers into liquid blocks of gold. The sofa is a gravity, we're pulling at my spine, tracing patterns in the plastic till the stars align. Static on the radio, sounds like a distant shore. I don't need to check the locks or the heavy oak door. The friction of the daylight has finally been erased, leaving just the velvet in a slow motion taste. My pupils are wide as the canyons in the sun, counting down the pulses until the night is done. Load high above the pavement where the shadows sleep, diving in the ocean where the silence is deep. Keep it cherry glow until the vision is clear. Everything I lost is certainly right here, drifting on a vapor through the cracks in the wall, waiting for the gravity to forget how to fall. Ice cubes melting in a glass of dark plum tea. The mirror in the hallway is a total stranger to me. There's a frequency humming beneath the floorboards now. I'd explain the feeling if my mind would just allow, but the words are like butterflies pinned to a page, fluttering ghosts like inside a wooden cage. Cotton mouth dry like the dust on the desert trail, watching every word be turned thin and ghostly pale. The neighbors are dreaming of the money they can make, but I'm the only captain on this glassy black lake. I've got the heavy eyelids and the relaxed hands, sifting through the hours like the grains of white sands. The air gets thick with the green forest scent, wondering where the last 3 lifetimes went. One more breath to keep the engine moving slow, nowhere left to run and nowhere left to go. Float high above the pavement where the shadows sleep, diving in the ocean where the silence is deep. Keep the cherry glow until the vision is clear. Everything I lost is suddenly right here, drifting on the vapor through the cracks in the wall, waiting for the gravity to forget how to fall. Yeah. Float high above the pavement where the shadows sleep, diving in the ocean where the silence is deep. Keep the cherry glow until the vision is clear. Everything I lost is suddenly right here, drifting on the vapor through the cracks in the wall, waiting for the gravity to forget how to fall. Off the pavement where the shadows sleep, diving in the ocean where the silence is deep. Keep the cherry glow until the vision is clear. Everything I lost is suddenly right here. clock faces a ghost at the boundary of 12. The heavy curtains hold secrets on the shelf. I am tracing patterns in the thick gray tide, with nowhere to run and no reason to hide. The spark catches slow in a cedarwood bowl, a quiet combustion for a weary soul. The floorboards are breathing under my feet, while the streetlights are frozen on an empty street. The air is a blanket of velvet and weight. The shadows are swinging on an iron gate. Everything solid is starting to lean into the spaces far in between. The silence is loud and the vision is wide, floating upstream on a midnight tide. Gravity is a rumor that I used to believe, while I weave a net out of oxygen and sleeves. The calendar pages are blank and white as I dissolve in the stomach of the night. No ticking seconds can measure this drift, as a tectonic place of the consciousness shift. The smoke is a ladder that leads to the floor. I am not looking for any open door. The lights in the harbor are burning like gold, stories of rust that have never been told. The distance is shrinking between here and there. I am braiding the darkness into my head. Let the world turn without me a while. I am miles deep in a motionless smile. The ceiling is a canvas of shifting tides, with the logic of daytime safely high. I am drinking the stillness through a glass straw, finding the grace in a natural flaw. The embers are fading to a powdery gray, as a memory of morning stays far away. The universe sits in the palm of my hand, a kingdom of smoke and a castle of sand. The air is a blanket of velvet and weight. Shadows are singing on an iron gate. Everything solid is starting to lean into the spaces far in between. The silence is loud and the vision is wide, floating upstream on a midnight tide. The air is a blanket of velvet and weight. Shadows are swinging on an iron gate. Everything solid is starting to lean into the spaces far in between. The silence is loud and the vision is wide, floating upstream on a midnight tide. Yeah. Yeah. The clock is bleeding, shadows on the floor. Static comes behind the heavy door. I fold the hour inside a paper skin, watching where the oxygen rolls thin. The ceiling turns to liquid oil and gray, while every solid thought just melts away. A slow combustion in the velvet dark, kindling a ghost from a single spark, floating on the exhale of a long day. Nothing left to clarify or say. The atmosphere is thick and heavy gold, stories that the lungs have never told. Gravity is just a heavy cold, left 1,000 miles from this boat. Floating on the exhale of a long day. Nothing left to clarify or say. The atmosphere is thick and heavy gold, stories that the lungs have never told. Gravity is just a heavy cold, left 1,000 miles from this boat. I'm stretching out like pulling wire, the cooling embers of a quiet fire. But when the pain is breathing with the trees, I am drifting in the hollow ease. No more sirens in the distant street, just the soft vibration of the heat. Ancient giants wait within the wall, stretching out as every curtain falls. The haze is curling like a sleeping mind, erasing every sharp and jagged line. My pulse is drumming on a hollow drum until the very nerves themselves are numb. The world is shrinking to this padded room, and every blossom in the smoky gloom. Floating on the exhale, always long day. Nothing left to clarify or say. The atmosphere is thick and heavy gold, stories that the lungs had never told. Gravity is just a heavy cold, left 1,000 miles from this boat. Floating on the exhale of a long day. Nothing left to clarify or say. The atmosphere is thick and heavy gold, stories that the lungs had never told. Gravity is just a heavy cold, left 1,000 miles from this boat. Clock face goes into a zero blur. Static comes where the sharp edges were. Velvet gravity pulls the marrow down, folding up the maps of this hollow town. One deep draft of the heavy herbal mist, subtle as a secret that the lungs have kissed. The ceiling ripples like a slow dark pond, floating far away from the tides of dawn. Weightless in the marrow of the quiet hour, tasting the errors of a purple flower. Gravity is losing every single grip, watching the horizon start to bend and slip. Midnight exhale drifting through the teeth, finding what remains in the space beneath. Fortified by clouds in a glass walled room, wrapped in the silk of a hazy loom. 420 visions in a lazy spin, letting the silence finally settle in. The mediator breathes a low frequency tune, tracing the ghost of a paper white moon. Fingertips tracing the grain of the floor, nobody knocking at the bolted door. Star patterns tangle like overgrown vines, blurring the ink on my calendar lines. Sweet combustion in a steady slow crawl, painting shadows on the plaster of the wall. Weightless in the mirror of the quiet hour, tasting the embers of a purple flower. Gravity losing every single grip, watching the horizon start to bend and slip. Midnight exhale drifting through fatigue, finding what remains in the space beneath. Fortified by clouds in a glass wall room, wrapped in the silk of a hazy loom. 420 visions in a lazy spin, letting the silence finally settle in. Yeah. clock is leaking oil at 12:01. Small glass pipe shining like a loaded gun. I am training my heavy heart for a lighter lung, watching the ghosts lift up from where they hung. The room starts leaning to the left and low, a bruised velvet shade in the afterglow. I am letting out a long held breath of gray, chasing the wreckage of a loud and messy day. The ceiling is a sea of slow moving ink. I am disconnected from the need to think. The radiator runs a low distorted core, while I am floating like a king who just got bored. Every heavy thought is losing all its weight, leaving the station through a rusty golden gate. The curtains dance without a single bit of wind, forgiving every place where my weary spirit's in. Give me the smoke to wrap around my cold, tired bones, turning my heavy sighs into these honey tones. I am drifting on a tide that does not have a shore. I do not need to fight the world and its noise no more. Just the blue light flickering against the dark, waiting for the flame to find its tiny quiet spark. Give me a smoke to wrap around my cold, tired bones, turning my heavy spars into those honey tones. I am drifting on a tide that does not have a shore. I do not need to fight the world and its noise no more. Just the blue light flickering against the dark, waiting for a flame, find its tiny quiet spark. The clock hands are melting off the kitchen wall. I am ready for the soft and the endless fall. Everything jagged is rounding out its edge. I am sitting on the very top of a velvet ledge. No more static, no more buzzing in the brain. Just the sweet sugar falling like a purple rain. I lit the shutters on a dusty shot, waiting for the spinning of the globe to stop. The shadows in the corner are playing bass, while I am staring at the holes in time and space. A sweet thick cloud is hugging the wooden floor. Cannot remember what I was searching for, but it does not matter when the air is this thick. The clock on the wall is lost its frantic tick. I am an anchor that forgot how to hold the ground, sailing through the silence of a muffled sound. The prophet is a forest of 1,000 shades, watching how the bitter flavor of the living fades. Just a slow burn, burn till the ember glows, where the peaceful river of the midnight flows. I am exhaling the worries and the heavy day, in a quiet room that the sun has not found yet. Give me the smoke to wrap around my cold, tired bones, turning the heavy sighs into these honey tones. I'm drifting on a tide that does not have a shore. I do not need to fight the world and its nose no more. Just for blue light flickering against the dark, wait for the flame to find its tiny quiet spark. Give me the smoke to wrap around my cold, tired bones, turning my heavy sighs into these honey tones. I am drifting on a tide that does not have a shore. I do not need to fight the world and its noise no more. Just for blue light flickering against the dark, wait for the flame to find its tiny quiet spark.
Clock strikes 12 and the moon starts to heavy lean, leaking silver paint across this hazy, quilted scene. I pull the velvet curtain shut against the concrete glare, watch the thick blue ribbons twist and tangle in the air. The city down below, we just a box of broken shards, while I am floating high above the decks of shuffled cards. My heavy eyelids anchor me to this old leather chair, dissecting all the static in a world that isn't there. Stretched across the valley where the shadows softly creep, dragging all my worries to a canyon buried deep. I can hear the planet breathing through the floorboards of the room, watching every flower in the wallpaper start to bloom. Gravity is losing grip and drifting out of sight, bathing golden honey on a slow and steady flight. No one needs to reach me while the dot is spinning low. We are just a couple seeds with nowhere left to go. Drifting down the ceiling where the constellations hang, songs the old horizon in the dust be eating insane. Wash away the grid until the polished marble shows. Everything is breathing in the way the spirit knows. Hold the heavy silence till it burns a liquid gold, telling every story that the daylight never told. Yeah. Walking Walking on the surface of a deep and restless lake, calculating ripples that the sleepy giants make. Patterns on the carpet turn to maps of ancient lands. Time is just a little pile of dry and cooling sands. I can feel the bass line thumping like a giant heart, pulling every tangled string of logic right apart. Keep the windows locked and keep the heavy shutters down, hidden in the center of a loud and hollow town. Let the smoke develop like a picture in the dark, searching for the ember in my tiny giant spark. Let the smoke develop like a picture in the dark, searching for the ember in my tiny giant spark. Drifting through the ceiling where the constellations hang, songs the old horizon in my dusty evening sang. Wash away the grit till my polished marble shows everything is breathing in the thing the spirit knows. Hold the heavy silence till it turns to liquid gold, telling every story that my daylight never told. Walk clock stutters on a heavy beat. Smoke curls up like a ghost on a dead-end street. Silver ribbons dancing through the thick gray haze. Lost my compass in this indigo maze. Gravity is just a suggestion tonight. Everything heavy turning featherweight light. Lungs full of nectar from a paper vine. Watching the constellations start to realign. Blue notes dripping from a cracked window pane. Piano keys weeping soft summer rain. The saxophone is humming a velvet low, where the city pulse begins to slow. Ice cubes rattling in a ceramic jar, feeling like years away from where we are. The carpet feels like moss beneath my feet, while the shadows stretch long across the sheet. Exhale the weary weight of the sun. The long night race has finally been won. Slow motion rivers flowing in the veins, washing away all the rust and the stains. Floating on a cloud made of mellow ash, ignoring the sirens and the frantic dash. Just a steady breath in the purple deep, before the world settles down for the sleep. Time is stretching like a rubber band, sifting through the hours like desert sand. No more friction, no more sharp, jagged edges. Just a soft girl over the window ledges. The blues got a grip, but it feels like a hug. Warmth spreading out from the center of the rug. Colors blending into a single shade of cool. Diving head first into the midnight pool. 42 steps to the kitchen sink. Stop for a moment just to pause and think. But the thoughts are like bubbles in a glass, watching the heavy minutes slowly pass. One light burning in the house next door, another soul drifting on the ocean floor. The world is a record spinning way too slow, with nowhere left that we really need to go. The tension snaps and turns into silk, soothe the soul like honey and milk. Lower the gaze till the vision goes wide, taking a seat on the incoming tide. Exhale, weary weight of the sun. The long night race has finally been won. Slow motion rivers flowing in the veins, washing away all the rust and the stains. Floating on a cloud made of mellow dash, ignoring the sirens and the frantic dash. Just a steady breath in the purple deep, before the world settles down for the sleep.
Clock face froze on a jagged line, silver smoke weaving through the ancient pine. The radiator hums a low frequency tune, while the shadows stretch long beneath the pale moon. My soul is heavy like a waterlogged book, resting my eyes on every quiet hidden nook. The world outside is a theater of dust. I am polishing the spirit and dissolving the rust. Matches flicker like a tide firefly in a room where the ceiling meets the violet sky. Gravitation feels like a warm velvet hand pulling me down to a soft shifting sand. The heavy sand of the botanical haze drifting through the hallways of a mental maze. Everything frantic is buried in the lawn. I am waiting on the ghost of the early dawn. No needles are moving on the record player spin, just the sound of the breath letting the stillness in. The walls start to soften like a wax candle wick. The gears of the century have ceased to click. Breathe it out and turn to midnight blue. The stars are dissolving into a herbal dew. 42 ways to forget the loud day. Let the thick, heavy stillness wash the debris away. Floating on a cloud made of slow burning lace. There is no gravity inside this holy space. The exhale is a bridge to a silent deep shore where the noise of the city matters no more. The cat is a statue on the windowsill edge. The neighbor is dreaming on a limestone ledge. I found a universe in a single green leaf, a brief vacation from the kingdom of grief. My thoughts are moving like turtles in grass, looking through the tint of the corn-stained glass. Seconds are miles and the hours are fast. The future is gone and I burn the long past. Cotton mouth dry like a desert trail sword, but the race in my marrow is finally done. A jar of cold water is a crystalline prize, reflecting the glow of my heavy red eyes. The floorboards are humming a resonant chord, but the stillness is mightier than any sharp sword. I am sinking through cushions of deep purple foam, finding the center of a spiritual home. No needles are moving on the record player span, just the sound of the breath letting the stillness in. The walls start to soften like a wax candle wick. The gears of the century have ceased to click. Breathe it out into the midnight gloom. The stars are dissolving into a herbal dew. 42 ways to forget the loud day. Let the thick, heavy stillness wash the debris away. Floating on a cloud made of soul burning lace. There is no gravity inside this holy space. The exhale is a bridge to a silent deep shore where the noise of the city man, but there's no more. Breathe it out into the midnight blue. The stars are dissolving into a herbal dew. 42 ways to forget the loud day. Let the thick, heavy stillness wash the debris away.
The clock face bleeds into a restless dark. Silver ash settles on the windowsill arch. Heavy lungs pulling heavy thoughts through the screen, finding shapes in the static where the ghosts lean. Counting cracks in the ceiling like a map of the soul, while the neighbor's old engine starts a baritone roll. The heat rises up from the concrete below, and my shadow starts melting in the amber glow. Got a slow burning ticket to a different plane, washing off the grit of the daylight stain. Cardboard clouds in a velvet sky, watching the satellites flicker and die. The matches are spent and the air is getting thick, every heartbeat hitting like a rhythmic stick. I'm anchored to the sofa, but my mind is at sea, navigating waves of a long lost frequency.
The hour is a hollow bone, the city is a silent stone. We're just breathing in the gray until the edges gray away.
Let the night exhale its deepest blue, sinking in a haze that's long overdue. Smoke rings spinning like a slow motion wheel, losing the grip on everything real. Turn the bass up until the floorboards moan, and a kingdom of dust on a sagging broom. Just a midnight sigh and a cloud of spice, twice the vision at half the price. The blue scale is calling up the hallway pain, making every center look exactly like a saint. Low in vibration, shaking loose the dust, turning iron intentions into reddish rust. I got a pocket full of stems and a head full of wind, tracing all the places where the story thin. The refrigerator hums a lonesome song about all the things it took way too long. Mirror on the wall is a cloudy eye, reflecting a man who forgot to say goodbye to the hustle and the grind and the jagged teeth of a world buried 5 miles underneath. slide guitar weeping through the drywall crack. Once you sail this far, there is no turning back. Just the smell of the resin and the cooling rain, drowning out the pulse of a local train.
The hour is a hollow bone, the city is a silent stone. We're just breathing in the gray until the edges fade away.
Let the night exhale its deepest view, sinking in a laser song on the blue. Smoke rings spinning like a slow motion wheel, losing the grip on everything real. Turn the bass up until the floorboard's known. In the kingdom of dust, thought I say get tone. Just a midnight sigh and a cow of spice, twice the leisure at half the price. Let the night exhale its deepest blue, sinking in a laser song on the blue. Smoke rings spinning like a slow motion wheel, losing the grip on everything real. Turn the bass up until the floorboard's known. In the kingdom of dust, not a flag enthroned. Just a midnight sigh and a cloud of spice, twice the vision at half the price.
The clock face froze on a heavy lean, watching silver clouds dissolve the screen. I am counting shadows on the hardwood floor, while the universe knocks at my basement door. A slow burning heavy velvet haze, finding logic in a purple maze. Gravity is just a suggestion now, with a crown of smoke upon my brow. Floating through the thick of it, the wall is just a counterfeit. Let the ceiling fan spin my thoughts away. In this velvet dark I plan to stay, quietly drifting on the green tide. Nowhere left for the stress to hide. Floating through the thick of it, the world is just a counterfeit. Let the ceiling fan spin my thoughts away. In this velvet dark I stay, quietly drifting on a green tide. Nowhere left for the stress to hide. Street lamps flicker like a dying spark. I am making friends with the friendly dark. The static on the radio hums a tune about a paper boat on a glass lagoon. Time is stretching like a rubber band, sifting stardust through a steady hand. The city is a whisper 3 miles down, while I wear this heavy quiet like a gown. The pressure drops in the cooling lawn, words are honey on a heavy tongue. Every hollow space begins to fill, the pulse is steady and the room is still. Floating through the thick of it, the world is just a counterfeit. Let the ceiling fan spin my thoughts away. In this velvet dark I stay, quietly drifting on a breathe high. Nowhere left for the stress to hide. Flowing through the thick of it, the world is just a counterfeit. Let the ceiling fan spin my thoughts away. In this velvet dark I stay, quietly drifting on a green tide. Nowhere left for the stress to hide. Clock strikes 12 and the ceiling starts to melt into the gray. Tracing patterns in the smoke and feel the sunlight comes to stay. Heavy eyelids falling slow while the static fills the gaps. Just another winding road on these hazy mental laps. The grinding of the gears finally grinds down to a halt, dissolving every bitterness and shedding every fault. I am sitting on a moon with my feet dangling in the void, filtering the frequency to keep the silence unalloyed. The lighter flickers once like a signal from a distant star, healing every hit
and bruising every faded mental scar. The gravity is optional, the atmosphere is thick and sweet. Watching all the city lights drifting far below my feet. Flowing through the velvet density of a slow motion dream. Nothing is exactly quite as solid as it used to seem. Floating in the middle of a calm and quiet deep blue sea. Finding all the locked up parts and finally turning the key. Weightless in the amber glow of a quiet midnight room. Watching how the heavy thoughts begin to wither then to blow. Exhaling all the tangled knots I tightened up throughout the day. Watching every jagged edge just simply soften into play. The bass is like a heartbeat thumping deep inside the floor. I don't need to look for any exits or an open door. The walls are breathing softly in a synchronized pulse. Stripping back the layers of the frantic and the false. Counting all the molecules that dance around the lonely spark. Carving out a sanctuary right here in the velvet dark. The friction of the world is gone, replaced by liquid grace. I can see the hidden lines that crisscross through this quiet space. Time is just a concept that I left behind an hour ago. Moving with the steady tide and letting all the pressure go. The air is turning golden as the clouds begin to part. Listening to the steady thrum that echoes in Mark. The window views are shifting into colors I can taste. Not a single second of the stillness goes to waste. Density of a slow motion dream. Nothing is exactly quite as solid as it used to seem. Floating in the middle of a calm and quiet deep blue sea. Finding all the locked up ports and finally turning the key. Weightless in the amber glow of a quiet midnight room. Watching how the heavy thoughts begin to wither then to bloom. Flowing through the velvet density of a slow motion dream. Nothing is exactly quite as solid as it used to seem. Flowing in the middle of a calm and quiet deep blue sea. Finding all the locked up parts and finally turning the key. Weightless in the amber glow of a quiet midnight room. Watching how the heavy thoughts begin to wither then to blow. The clock is bleeding, shadows on the hardwood floor. Static in the radiator, humming for some more. I cracked the window just to watch the city hold its breath. Yeah, a hazy halo dancing on the edge of life and death. Yeah, the silver paper crinkles like a secret being told. The day was heavy iron, but the evening turns to gold. I let the embers catch the oxygen and start to glow. A slow motion river where the weary spirits go. There is a weary wisdom in the way the curtains sway. The ghosts of all the arguments that crumble through the day. I am sinking through the velvet of a crystal velvet chair, tracing invisible patterns in the thick and heavy air. The blues is not a feeling, it is just a shade of gray. It settles on your shoulders when the sunlight fades away. My lungs are filled with clouds that never intend to rain, just drifting through the valleys of a numbing kind of pain. Yeah, yeah. Take another pull of the heavy midnight sky. Watch the hours dissolve and the light drift on by the bottom of the glasses where the hidden truths reside. With nowhere left to run and nowhere left to hide. It is a long way down to the morning light. Just leaning on the backbone of a hollow night. Yeah, the hollow night. Yeah. The needle on the record finds the groove and starts to slide. A low muddy place, not where the lonely people hide. I do not need a map to find the places I have been. Just a bitter taste of resin and a drop of cheapest gin. The street lamp is a witness with a flickering yellow eye, watching every honest man tell a jagged little lie. I am weaving all my worries into a tapestry of smoke, smiling at the punchline of a long forgotten joke. Take another pull of the heavy midnight sky. Watch the hours dissolve and Elijah drift on by the bottom of the passage where the hidden truth reside. But nowhere left to run and nowhere left to hide. It is a long way down to the morning light, just leaning on the backbone of a hollow night. Hey. Hollow night. Hey. Take another pull of the heavy midnight sky. Watch the hours dissolve and the logic drift on by the bottom of the passage where the hidden truths reside. But nowhere left to run and nowhere left to hide. A long way down to the morning light, just leaning on the backbone of the hollow night. Yeah. Hollow night. Yeah. Yeah. Take another pull. Backbone of the hollow night.
The clock is bleeding shadows on the hardwood floor, while the skyline drinks the heavy fog outside the door. I said a leap into the velvet of this velvet chair and watch the silver roans dancing through the heavy air. The city sirens melt into a low and lonesome slide. A bottleneck guitar is taking me for one last ride. No more heavy lifting for a mind that's overfed. Just the static of the stars spinning inside of my head. Take a long, slow breath, let the heavy anchor drop into the ticking of the gears, the shots to finally stop. I am floating on a river made of bourbon and a blue, merging with the twilight where the light is leaking through. I am drifting in the cradle of the quiet and the deep, where the secrets of the midnight are the only ones I keep. My calendar is just a stack of paper burning slow. I am looking for the places where the weary spirits go. Gravity is loose and all the walls are breathing soft. The dusty dreams of yesterday are hanging in the loft. I am leaning on the low notes of a delta melody, finding all the frequency that sets the prisoner free. The smoke is like a ghost that knows exactly how I feel, tangled in the spokes of a heavy rusted wheel. The moon is just a hole cut in the ceiling made of slate. I am handing over every ounce of all that's useless weight. The shadows stretch their fingers till they touch the other side, where the winners and the losers had no place left to hide. Take a long, slow breath, let the heavy anchor drop into the ticking of the gears, decides to finally stop. I am floating on a river made of bourbon and a blue, merging with the twilight where the light is leaking through. I am drifted in the cradle of the quiet and the deep, where the secrets of the midnight are the only ones I keep. Take a long, slow breath, let the heavy anchor drop into the ticking of the gears, decides to finally stop. I am floating on a river made of bourbon and a blue, merging with the twilight where the light is leaking through. I am drifting in the cradle of the quiet and the deep, where the secrets of the midnight are the only ones I keep. Take a long, slow breath, let the heavy anchor drop till the ticking of the gears decides to finally stop. Take a long, slow breath, let the heavy anchor drop till the ticking of the gears decides to finally stop. Are the only ones I keep. Slow breath. pockets bleeding, shadows through the blinds. Static on the radio, I'm spooling in our minds. A slow drag of oxygen, turn to velvet ash. Watching every second burn in a slow motion crash. I am leaning back where the gravity is thin, letting the thick blue vapor soak through the skin. The floorboards are humming a low frequency 8, while the ghost of the city keeps the lonely awake. No more heavy lifting for the weary in the days, just a sweet thick fog where the hedges get erased. Float high above the pavement and the iron and the rust, turning all the heavy metal into diamond dust. When the midnight exhales all the secrets it can keep, we are sailing on a cloud while the world is fast asleep. Let the colors bleed together in a purple shade of gray. We don't need the sunshine, we don't need the light of day. Flow high above the pavement and the iron and the rust, turning all the heavy metal into diamond dust. When the midnight exhales all the secrets it can keep, we are sailing on a cloud while the world is fast asleep. Let the colors bleed together in a purple shade of gray. We don't need the sunshine, we don't need the light of day. The 12-bar progression is a ladder to the moon, stretching out the chorus of a dusty broken tune. Nothing left to handle and nothing left to prove, just a steady vibration of a deep subwoofer groove. If the sky falls down we won't even blink an eye, just another ripple in a temporary high. Matches on the table like a pile of spent bones, voices in the hallway speaking in undertones, but the air in here is heavy with a green perfume lace, polished and refined in a quiet empty space. The blues is a liquid that you swallow with a grin, losing where the darkness ends and where the thoughts begin. Check the dial once again, but the needle never moves, stuck inside the honey of these slow lonesome grooves. Just a midnight exhale floating out into the cold, story of a feeling that can never quite be told. Float high above the pavement in the iron and the rust, turning all the heavy metal into diamond dust. When the midnight exhales all the secrets it can keep, we are setting on the dial while the world is fast asleep. Let the colors bleed together in the purple shade of gray. We don't need the sunshine, we don't need the light of day. Float high above the pavement in the iron and the rust, turning all the heavy metal into diamond dust. When the midnight exhales all the secrets it can keep, we are sailing on a cloud while the world is fast asleep. Let the colors bleed together in a purple shade of gray. We don't need the sunshine, we don't need the light of day.
The clock face goes at 12. Smoke rings curl like silver snakes upon the shelf. Oxygen turns to velvet in this hollow room, watching shadows stretch and bloom. The lighter flickers a tide, amber spark. We are carving out a sanctuary in the dark. Gravity is losing its iron grip on my chest, while the moon leans in to witness the rest. Concrete keeps the sequence down below the street, but up here the heavy air tastes thick and sweet. Clouded glass filters out the rush of the day. Every jagged thought begins to fray. The ceiling fan spins a slow lethargic wheel. I am finally forgetting how to feel the steel of a world that demands a constant sharpening edge. Now I am leaning off the velvet ledge, breathing in until the lungs forget the weight. The marrow of the hour is coming late. Slow motion ties inside a quiet chest. Give the weary pulse a place to rest. Let the vision wander where it needs to climb, floating through the silent cracks of time. Just a hazy orbit in the purple deep, where the promises of morning fall asleep. Oh, suspended in the amber of a long-held sigh, counting every star that dares to pass us by. Static on the radio is humming a low drone, finding comfort in the marrow and the bone. Attention needed for a mind this wide. Just a steady rolling of the inner tide. The ashtray holds the remnants of a fever dream. Nothing is quite as solid as it would seem. Walls dissolve into a mist of gray and gold. Stories of the daylight are getting old. Fingertips are tracing patterns on the cold night air. Stripping down the layers of every phantom care. Wrapped in the heavy fabric of the sound. 3 inches hovering above the ground. Every syllable is draped in silk. The light from the street lamp is pale as milk. Oh, tracing the lineage of a fleeting dawn, enjoying the silence that the evening brought. The pulse is a drummer in a distant hall, listening for the truth behind the drywall. Not a single motion wasted in the gloom. Peace is the only guest inside this room. Breathe it in until the bones forget the weight. The marrow of the hour is coming late. Slow motion hides inside a quiet chest. Give the weary pulse a place to rest. Let the vision wander where it needs to climb. Floating through the silent cracks of time. Just a hazy napping in the purple deep, where the promises are molded fall of grief. Breathe it in until the lungs forget the weight. The marrow of the hour is coming late. Slow motion glides inside a quiet chest. Give the weary close a place to rest. The clock strikes 12 and the ceiling starts to melt. Unbuckle every single pressure from the leather belt. I'm sinking in the velvet of a thrift store chair, while the heavy sweet perfume takes over all the air. The city down below is just a blur of silent light. I'm navigating through the purple tunnels of the night. My lungs are feeling heavy, but my soul is catching flight. Everything that felt so long is finally fitting tight. No clocks on the wall, just a beat in my chest. Putting all the static in the wires to rest. That Haze is a blanket, the smoke is a friend. Where the beginning meets the bitter jagged end. Exhale the tension, let the gravity dissolve. Watching how the puzzles of the universe revolve. Staring at the embers till the shadows start to dance. Lost inside the rhythm of a chemical romance. Keep it flowing steady at a slow and steady pace. Disappear completely, leaving nothing but a trace. Ghost bots dancing on the tip of the flame. Forgetting every number and forgetting every name. The walls are expanding like a lung made of wood. I'd explain the revelation if I only ever could, but the words are like water slipping right through my fist. Just a solitary ghost in a cinematic list. The bass is a pulse vibrating deep in my bones. A king sitting quiet on a polyester throne. No clocks on the wall, just a beat in my chest. Putting all the static in the wires to rest. The haze is a blanket, the smoke is a fan. Where the beginning meet the bitter jagged end. Exhale the tension, let the gravity just down. Watching how the puzzles of the universe revolve. Staring at the embers till the shadows start to dance. Lost inside the rhythm of a chemical romance. Keep it floating steady at a slow and steady pace. Disappear completely, leaving nothing but a trace. Watching how the puzzles of the universe revolve. Staring at the embers till the shadows start to dance. Lost inside the rhythm of a chemical romance. Keep it floating steady at a slow and steady pace. Disappear completely, leaving nothing but a trace. Exhale the tension, let the gravity go. How the puzzle of the universe revolve. Staring Staring at the embers till the shadows start to dance, lost inside the rhythm of a chemical romance.
Clock is bleeding shadows on the hardwood floor, yeah, yeah. While the heavy smoke is knocking at the cellar door, yeah, yeah, yeah. I put my weary lungs into a velvet state, watching every second start to oscillate. The world outside is just a static blur, a silent ghost around an iron stir. I fold the midnight like a paper crane and let the slow combustion wash away the pain. This blue smoke is a curtain for the weary eye, hanging like a fog beneath the hollow sky. The street lamps flicker in the days of gold, telling secrets that the morning never told. I feel the gravity loosen its tight grip as the bitter liquid meets my lower lip. There is no mission in this drifting cloud, just the quiet breathing of a city shroud. I exhale the ghosts that rattle in the chest, lay the jagged edges of the day to rest. Heavy-headed wandering through a deep indigo, letting all the heavy anchors finally go. Floating on the fumes of a dying spark, writing nameless poems in the velvet dark. The slow tide is pulling at the shore, I don't need to find the daylight anymore. A dusty record spins a tale of grit and bone. The saxophone is sweeping in a lower tone. The green leaf crumbles into ash and gray, chasing all the demons of the dead away. My pulse is steady like a freight train on the line, crossing over borders of space and time. Every exhale is a bridge across the deep, before the heavy eyelids surrender into sleep. The concrete jungle is a garden made of glass, watching all the frantic moments turn to grass. I am a witness to the stillness in the air, combing through the tangles of a long despair. The embers glow like distant stars of flight, burning through the fabric of the lonely night. No more questions and no more hollow pleas, just the swaying branches of the cypress trees. Exhale the ghosts that prattle in the chest, lay the jagged edges of the day to rest. Heavy-headed wandering through the deep indigo, letting all the heavy anchors finally go. Floating all the fumes of the dying spark, writing nameless poems in the velvet dark. The slow tide is pulling at the shore, I don't need to find the daylight anymore. Exhale the ghosts that rattle in the chest, lay the jagged edges of the day to rest. Heavy-headed down the bend through the deep indigo, letting all the heavy anchors finally go. Floating on the fumes of a dying spark, writing nameless poems in the velvet dark. The slow tide is cooling at the shore, I don't need to find the daylight anymore.